Quantum Shift, where today's talk meets real life.
All right, so looking at that, it's all about how you show up, right? We move on into an exhibition coming through the beginning of August. We're talking about we are also talking about a very exciting milestone for Africa's growing organic and natural products industry. You know, gone are the days where it's like you had to find your organics and natural products in a corner of somewhere, right? Now, the return of the Organic and Natural Products Expo Africa that takes place at the Sandton Convention Centre in Jozi from the 7th to 9th of August. So with this return, this event is also noted to have become much more than just an exhibition. It is now recognized as one of Africa's leading trade platforms for the natural and organic product sector, a place where entrepreneurs, retailers, buyers, investors, and of course industry leaders come together to create real business opportunities. To tell us more about this, we have co-founder of the Organic and Natural Products Expo, Warren Hickinbotham, on the line. Good morning, Warren. Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks very much for having me on at this nice early crisp hour.
Thanks for joining us before the sun came up. I hope you got your coffee in hand.
Indeed, all done. Cup 2 on its way.
I'll have cup 3 when I get home. No, I'm joking. I should hold back. All right, let's jump in. The Organic and Natural Products Expo Africa has grown significantly since its launch. What was the original vision behind creating this platform? And then, of course, how has the vision evolved over the years?
Sure. It's a while back. We actually, my co-founder and myself, had the first conversation about it back in 2018. Ironically, at a coffee shop. We had bumped into each other, and he, being an expo veteran, had seen an opportunity where these kind of shows and in this kind of market in Europe and the US were experiencing great success, and yet there was nothing here in Africa. So to be quite blunt, the first opportunity was commercial. We say, hey, here's an opportunity we can make some money by developing a platform. And then, as we got into it, we obviously experienced COVID after that, so we weren't able to launch the show as planned. And then we got out the gates in 2022, and here we are. A good number of years later, we're doing our 7th event. But what's happened is that we found ourselves in this family, this industry that's a family, full of amazing people, amazing stories of how their products came about. We've watched them grow. So apart from we are a for-profit company, we have to make it sustainable for ourselves. But really, we're so invested in these people that have come back year in, year out, and seeing them grow from small businesses to medium businesses. So it really has developed into a passion more than anything else.
Well, I'm happy to hear that COVID didn't leave you sitting, right, and that you still got up and moved forward to that. Every business begins with the idea of how to make money. And now what you've shared with me is quite interesting in how finding a very exclusive, important niche when it comes to natural and organic products and the rise of that, you then have catapulted in creating value for the network of people that come to the show. And my understanding, obviously, and it's obvious that the Expo has now positioned itself as Africa's premier trade platform for natural and organic. Why do you believe this event is say, different from other industry events in particular, or exhibitions at large?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've positioned ourselves as a business-first event. However, having said that, we also open the doors to consumers. So it's business-first, consumers welcome. And that really separates. There's only one other event in the industry, which is more a foodie-type consumer-facing event. We want to give our exhibitors access to business. So these smaller retailers, the mom and pop health retailers, these small health stores that you see, but also the major retailers. What was once a trend 10 years ago is now mainstream. Just walk into a Discount, just walk into a Pick and Pay, and you'll see the health and wellness and natural product aisles, are the full length of the store these days. So that's I'd say the main point of difference. We want to educate the consumers. We encourage our exhibitors to sell products on the days of the show so that they can get their products in the hands of these consumers and they can experience them. But really, we try and drive access to the retailers, the salons, the restaurants, the hospitality side, who are also very invested in changing their stock profiles to natural and organic and health and wellness. And products that are produced sustainably has become a massive theme as well.
That is so important. I mean, that is in line with, if you look at the private sector and institutionalized production and manufacture, there's certainly more of a gearing toward your triple bottom line reporting and sustainable practices. And that's very exciting. Your 2025 edition attracted more than 4,200 verified visitors. I like that. Verified visitors, and I believe over 200 exhibitors from 10 countries. So talk to us about the current state of Africa's organic and natural products sector and how it draws from different countries and what you're showcasing and putting on the table for this year's exhibition.
So great question. First thing I'd like to point out is I said earlier that we didn't have anything in Africa when we were assessing the opportunity.
Right.
But in Europe, you've got there's a show called in Germany, Biofach, which happens once a year in February. And typically all the buyers, the local buyers, the guys that we know, they travel over there to see what's going on in the global kind of organic and natural sector. So the opportunity that really presented itself to say, hang on, we've got a lot of stuff that's only available here. Buchu, rooibos, honeybush, all of these wonderful things, scaletium. So the platform's become a place where you can say, hang on, the rest of the world, you also have a destination when you want to come and see African products, so come here. And that's kind of created a real nice international flavor. I mean, in our 2023 edition, we had over 250 European delegates that came out.
Right.
So instead of 200 companies packing their bags and trying to make their way to Germany at enormous expense, we say, well, to the buyers out there, you come here. We'll put on a platform where you can come and find what we have. And it's not just South Africa. The West and East Africa regions are also producing some amazing organic and natural products. Kenya, I don't know the stat, but the figure around which I have seen, the arable land under organic kind of farming over there is probably 10 times what we have here. So that also just illustrates the opportunity we have to grow into this sector as well.
And I think exponential opportunity, because ultimately, as you've indicated and you've done your research before, starting it locally, products mentioned like buchu, which was traditional khoisan herb that could be put into pharmaceuticals to suppress appetite. But you're going back to the basics of what I love and really making sure that we tap into the emerging entrepreneurs and small businesses, particularly in South Africa, to empower them. So when we look at the exhibitions and the exposure of SMEs and entrepreneurs, how they can move from small producers to accessing larger retail export and investment opportunities. Tell us a bit more about this. I mean, you did indicate that, all countries coming through to South Africa, but because of your investment in your people that exhibit, there's obviously a bit more work behind the scenes that gets done. And tell us a bit of the success stories of the expo.
So I think the first thing to mention is that this market we find ourselves in is dominated by small business.
Good. Nice.
It is, but it's also a problem for us as an expo because when I rent Sandton Convention Centre, it doesn't come cheap, right?
Sure.
So there's a kind of a cost of entry which many of these SMEs can't actually afford. So we've had to really remodel the way we do things, and we've relied on two areas of support. Firstly, government. Government has been absolutely amazing in supporting the SMEs in accessing our platform.
That's
and
great.
We've dumbed it down as much as we can in terms of a cost and to really try and make it achievable, but even at that level. So the DTICs, the SEDFAs, all of the economic development departments and the provincial legislatures, they've all gotten behind their SMEs. So at this expo, you're going to see there's a Free State pavilion, there's a Limpopo pavilion, There's an Eastern Cape pavilion, there's a Northwest pavilion who send their SMEs to share the stage. We've also brought on Standard Bank this year as our headline sponsor. They were a sponsor previous years, but they upped their support this year. And again, what that does in the money that they give us, it just goes straight to unlocking subsidized stands for SMEs. So there's a big understanding across those funding mechanisms that small business. And in fact, this morning, when I was waking up my first cup of coffee, I was reading the news. 60% of employment in South Africa is under the custodianship of small business.
Wow.
So if we want to talk job creation and we want to talk these type of things, it has to be with the support of small business as an element. So there's a big opportunity because we don't get to nearly enough people in terms of enabling them. There's so much more we can do. So, but we've done a lot of good work along the way.
I love it, and up is the way we go, because like you've indicated, and I have a strong believer that self-creation entrepreneurship can eliminate and at least turn the tide on the heightened unemployment rates. And then looking at, the future, the emerging future, where we move away from pesticides and chemicals and hopefully embrace more of organic and natural sector, we're thriving to some degree in South Africa. There's also new policy, and I believe your 2026 Expo introduces new features zones, including cannabis corner, mushroom emporium. So talk to us just briefly on why this is important so people can understand the relevance in production and why this created dedicated spaces for these emerging categories.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great question. I'm very excited about these two new sections in the show. They will be small, represented by a handful of people within those industries. But the two industries specifically, cannabis, and I just want to state this is not a stoner show. You're not going to come and buy weed.
It's important to say that because there's misconceptions. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's about the medicinal side of cannabis, so CBD and its use within creams and various other remedies and all the rest of it. And we'll have a few speakers from the industry in our conference as well, as well as exhibitors of companies who actually participate in the industry. And it's growing, from hemp as a textile through to CBD. There's a lot of components within this industry that people just don't know about. So, as has always been the theme of the conference, because these products, I've been known to call them weird and wonderful, and that's kind of what it is. So, they're weird and wonderful, but before they become something you can actually buy and use, you need to educate yourself. You need to come and take a sample and try. So that's the cannabis side. Mushroom emporium, the rise of functional mushrooms is absolutely explosive at the moment. So we're talking things like the lion manes and the reishi and the cordyceps and these kind of things. I, in fact, use a cordyceps gym supplement. It's totally mushroom-based, totally natural, and it works better than any of these other ones, these other stimulants that I've tried before. It's called Mitofuel, and the guys will be exhibiting it at the show. So two really big potential sectors, and they're big because they start at agriculture. So that's the first layer. There's a grower community, a farming community, a harvester community, going all the way through the agri-processing to finished product, and obviously then you get to your import and your export and that kind of stuff. So it supports a full value chain. So you're not just talking 10 SME or 10 jobs that can be created within an agri-processing unit. What about the farmer? What about the growers? It's a great way to support through the value chain.
Wonderful. Now let's look at the consumer interest in wellness, functional foods, natural alternative, medicine and options. It continues to grow worldwide. But what trends are you seeing that will shape the future of the industry in Africa? Maybe we've discussed a lot of that, but I'm sure it's going to be exponential.
Yeah, well, look, before, when we sat at that coffee shop, in 2018, we were all already as communities thinking more and more about health and wellness and fitness. Climate change has been a drum that's been beat for years already, and we all had that in the back of our minds. And then this little thing called COVID came in. So if we weren't thinking health and wellness before COVID, you certainly were afterwards.
Absolutely.
So that accelerated the consumer understanding and acceptance that, hey, we need to be better to ourselves. That's the first component. The second component is sustainability. Because if we are not producing these goods and products and what have you, and services even, in a way that's sustainable, well, it's a non-starter. There has to come a point, and you've said it already, companies are putting in their BEE scorecards. We're seeing these ESDs and CSI initiatives from the big corporates playing out in the climate change and sustainability space. And in fact, Standard Bank are there specifically around the sustainability angle. So it's about creating knowledge and upswell now for what is actually something that is incredibly important for us later and our children and our children's children. So hopefully this trend continues and just grows in strength.
Well, looking forward to this beginning of August. It's only taking place in Johannesburg at the moment.
No, we do a Cape Town and a Joburg every year. So Cape Town's complete. We did it earlier in the year in April.
Okay.
And now this year we've got Joburg, and then just a little kind of, I suppose, first bit of excitement. We have been approached by the Eastern Cape government to do one down there. So we're busy trying to put that together, hopefully even this year, but I'll keep everyone posted on that.
Territory is great in the sense of if you support, you're reaching young entrepreneurs around that side. I'm really evolving in my mind to how we can, have more speakers, saying we, et cetera, et cetera. It's an exciting market. How do people book their tickets? How do they find out more information about the Natural and Organic Expo Africa that takes place 7th to 9th of August?
Yes, absolutely. So we have an online portal, organicandnaturalportal.com.
Yeah.
So consumers buy tickets there. It is 80 Rand online if booked before the show, and then 160 at the gate. So consumers get online and buy your tickets at half price. If you are a Standard Bank card holder, you can get your tickets at the gate at half price still. And then to the small companies out there who may be listening, we still have very limited space, but we do still have some space. So on that same portal, you can jump on, click to apply to be an exhibitor, and we'll respond to you immediately.
Super having you connect with us this morning. We wish the crew all the best, and up and away to entrepreneurship and, of course, sustainable development across value chains. Great connecting with you. Thank you for your time, Warren.